me if you agree, but when you are sort of, used and abused, as it were, as a consumer, you get very angry very quickly, don't you? I know lots of chums like me who go out shopping on a regular basis and stuff like that. I get really angry when, you've had to scan everything yourself and beep it through and stuff like that. And then somebody accusingly asks you, have you paid for that carrier bag? And you think, what is exactly your role other than being some sort of commandant at the doorway? You know what I mean? And it's a bit like, hang on a minute, at what point did service leave the room? It's a little bit like, of course, honesty and integrity, something truly lacking with something that used to have a lot of honesty and integrity, otherwise known as the BBC, the British Broadcasting Corporation. And their latest big scandal, of course, featuring the former News at 10 newsreader, Hugh Edwards, has just really shown how dim-witted the head of the BBC, the Director General, Tim Davie, is. How long can he retain his position, though, after this? As ever, let me explain. Hi, good to see you. Thank you so much, as ever, for your time. Yes, I do. I think we all agree. I think when you fund a company, you feel that they should be honest, at least with you. You agree? I kind of think this is part of the problem. Now, we don't need to go into great detail about the disgraceful behaviour of Hugh Edwards. And I've told you before, what I found odd about the whole situation was it was something of an open secret within BBC circles. I mean, everybody from the makeup team right through to executives knew something about Hugh Edwards. So for them to sit there and say, no, they didn't, well, I would call that out. But of course, protection is key, isn't it? Particularly when they're talking about the talent, as they call it. Now, as many people know, Hugh Edwards managed to cream off over £200,000 of your money, the BBC's money, because they continued to pay him, even though he'd been removed from screens, all of that sort of stuff. Now, where it gets more fascinating is, as you know, they tried to put out a feeble, mealy-mily attempt to try and get their money back. Hugh Edwards is not giving that money back. His life is in free fall, and I wouldn't wish that on anybody, but he brought it all on himself, as you can understand. Now, moving forward, what's emerged is this. It appears, though, that they didn't just give him that money, they continued to give him other money to make sure that he was looked after during his mental health struggles, forgetting, of course, the mental health struggles of the people that he treated, putting this nicely, very badly. Now, they've no intention of getting that money back also, but here's the problem, and this is the bigger issue when you think about it. The person at the top must have known more than they let on. It's just simple rules of deduction. People talk all the time. It's all very well Tim Davie saying, I knew nothing about this. It's very hard to believe, isn't it, that if you are running an organisation like that, you don't hear the rumour, the gossip, the whispers. It's incredible. Either way now, the BBC is again once being exposed as being incompetent and not fit for purpose, seemingly just giving away your money on a whim simply because they don't want to hook themselves into a problem with HR. And here's where it gets absolutely fascinating. I have colleagues that work in the BBC who are desperate to leave, and they tell me the absolute colossal amount of waste going on inside the corporation you would not believe. Don't bother having a go at anybody of a certain background if they don't turn up for work for weeks on end. It's not worth the hassle and could end up in a tribunal. Just let it ride and keep your head down. And clearly, this is what exactly they did with the disgraced BBC newsreader Hugh Edwards. Isn't it time, though, we got a refund rather than they demand that you pay your BBC TV licence fee? Neil Sean, Kensington, London.